Welcome to Leading from Stream to Team Deep Dive, the podcast where we unpack what really drives transformation beyond the buzzwords. Today's episode tackles one of the biggest reasons Agile transformations stall: the myth that Agile is just about ceremonies, stand-ups, or faster delivery. The truth? Agile is less about process and more about belief and behavior. That's where mission, values, and principles come in. They're not wall posters or nice-sounding words. They're the operating system for lasting change. Mission anchors outcomes, values set the cultural guardrails, and principles guide the day-to-day decisions when things get messy. And they will. In this conversation, we'll show you how to turn those three elements into living tools that shape prioritization, funding, incentives, and leadership behaviors. You'll also hear a practical 90-day playbook and common pitfalls to avoid, so your Agile transformation delivers real outcomes, not just rituals. So let's dive in and explore how mission, values, and principles can transform agility from a process checklist into a culture of impact.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something I see all the time: Agile transformations that just fizzle out.
Yeah, they stall, don't they?
Exactly. And you think it's about, getting the stand-ups right or writing perfect user stories.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff we've been digging into suggests it's deeper than that. Something more fundamental often gets missed.
It really does.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The core idea from our sources seems to be treating Agile like just changing processes, new meetings, new roles.
Right, like it's just a software update.
Yeah. But the reality is it's a fundamental shift in beliefs and behaviors. It needs a whole new operating system.
That's a great way to put it. And that operating system, the core code, it's built on your mission, your values, and your principles.
Okay, mission, values, principles.
Yep, they're the backbone. They answer the why you're doing this, the how you'll act, and give you those rules of thumb for when things get messy, the bugs pop up.
Right, the inevitable challenges.
Exactly. So think of this deep dive as like a practical guide to getting that OS installed and running properly.
Okay.
We want to show you how mission, values, principles aren't just about better ceremonies. They're about getting better outcomes.
Outcomes, not just output.
Precisely. Making sure the whole effort actually sticks and delivers real results, not just, changing meeting names.
All right, so to build this Agile OS, we need the basic components first. Understand the architecture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are these things? Mission, values, principles. How do they fit together to make this system work?
Well, it's actually pretty straightforward when you break it down. Each piece has a specific job.
Okay.
Your mission, that's your why. Your enduring purpose. Who do you serve? What unique value do you create for them?
Right, the external focus.
Then values. These are your non-negotiables, the behaviors you actively reward and protect, kind of like cultural guardrails.
Got it.
And principles.
Yeah.
They're your day-to-day heuristics, actionable rules derived from the mission and values that guide how you actually operate.
So heuristics, like quick decision rules.
Exactly. How you make choices in the moment, and they all link up. Mission anchors your outcomes. Values shape the culture. Principles guide the daily choices.
Okay, that makes sense.
And here's a really crucial bit from the research. Practices like Scrum or Kanban, they're just implementations of your principles.
So the tools serve the principles, not the other way around.
Precisely. Understanding that stops you from cargo culting, adopting the practices without understanding why. Like wearing the uniform without knowing the mission.
That's a huge distinction. It gets right to the why are we even doing this stand-up question.
Mm-hmm.
And the material gives us tests, right, to make sure these aren't just fluffy words.
Yeah, really practical tests. For the mission, ask, could two different teams use this to make the same trade-off decision?
Okay, clarity for trade-offs.
For values,
Yeah.
Can you actually see this value in action, in a meeting, in a code review? Is it observable?
Not just on a poster.
And for principles, do they help sort out conflicts quickly without needing to escalate everything?
Nice. So these tests help make sure the guidelines are actually useful, not just aspirational.
Exactly.
Actionable.
And this clear mission, this sense of purpose,
Yeah.
that's what stops Agile just becoming about shipping features faster, right?
Yeah.
It connects everything back to customer value.
Absolutely. A strong mission has to be about the customer and the value you deliver to them, not just internal goals.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A good one might be help small retailers sell anywhere by reducing payment friction. See how specific and customer-focused that is.
Yeah, versus something like,
versus be the market leader in omnichannel software. That's internal, kind of vague.
gotcha.
And your mission needs to actively drive priorities and funding. If work doesn't clearly help the mission, the research says, well, maybe you shouldn't do it, even if it's on the roadmap.
Ooh, controversial. It can be.
Yeah.
And it needs to cascade down.
Yeah.
Using something like OKRs, objectives, and key results helps translate that big mission into measurable customer impact goals, concrete steps.
So that's how you make the mission real day to day. But what are the big hurdles people face when trying to implement that kind of mission fit check? Sounds simple, but
Yeah, it forces tough talks.
yeah.
The biggest challenge, often it's all of the existing work, legacy stuff or pet projects that don't really line up.
Right. What do you do with that?
The advice is usually start small. Apply it to all new work first, then gradually filter the existing backlogs. And here's a practical tip for you listening.
Okay, an operating tip.
Put a mission fit check right into your backlog refinement. Every epic, every story needs to say, what's the customer outcome and how does this help our mission?
And if it doesn't?
Park it. Seriously. No clear mission link. No go. For now, at least.
Okay, so mission is the North Star. Now, aligning our actions with it, that brings us to values, the cultural guardrails, and the sources hammer this home. Values only count if they force trade-offs.
Absolutely. If a value doesn't bite when things get tough, it's just decoration.
So how do you make them real?
Pick just a few, like 3 to 5 core values. Then define the specific behaviors you will reward, and just as importantly, the ones you won't tolerate.
Explicitly.
Yes. And then you got to wire them into rituals, make them visible, part of the daily Agile rhythm. They have to be lived, not just laminated on the wall.
Can we walk through some examples? How does a value like, say, transparency show up?
Okay, transparency. Behaviors are things like share progress and risks early, default to open docs.
Right.
You see it in visible Kanban boards, truly open sprint reviews, and having the guts to say red is a gift and stand up, embracing problems early.
Okay, how about customer obsession?
Behaviors there are like test assumptions with real users every week, quantify the value you're delivering.
And the practices.
That shows up in having a regular, continuous discovery cadence, actually talking to users constantly, and using outcome-based OKRs, not just output goals.
Makes sense. And ownership.
That's teams owning quality, owning reliability, being able to fix forward safely.
So the DoD reflects that.
Exactly. Your definition of done includes monitoring, rollback plans, teams participating in on-call for their services. They own it end to end.
Okay, one more learning.
Big one. Behaviors. Run small, safe-to-fail experiments. Actually celebrate when a hypothesis is wrong because you learned something.
Ooh, counterintuitive for some cultures.
Totally. You see it in A/B testing, sprint reviews focusing on what we learned, and retrospectives that are about experiments, not blame.
That point about values forcing trade-offs really hit me. I've seen places say they value quality, but then the first time a deadline looms.
Poof, it disappears.
Yeah. So how do leaders actually protect these values when the pressure's on?
That's the acid test for leadership, isn't it? They have to model it. And crucially, this is the operating tip here. You have to bake values into performance reviews, promotion criteria, even how you choose vendors.
The incentive structure.
Yes. If you only reward speed, your stated value of quality or learning will always lose. You got to align the rewards with the values, structurally, culturally, financially.
Okay, so mission is the purpose, values are the guardrails, principles then are the actual commands, the day-to-day OS.
That's a perfect analogy. This is where belief translates into everyday action. Principles are your command line interface for decisions.
Got it.
They should be short, testable, ideally ranked. Good ones create productive friction. They don't make things harder, they just make trade-offs faster because the guideline is clear.
Okay, so what are some core principles the sources recommend?
Well, here's a practical starting set. 1, ship small, learn fast, prefer small batches, frequent feedback.
Right.
2, customer value over volume. Measure impact, not just how much stuff you built.
Key distinction.
3, optimize for flow. Limit your work in progress, WIP. Find bottlenecks. Fix the system.
Systemic thinking.
4, quality is owned, not inspected in. Build it in from the start. DoD includes tests, observability, security.
Baked in.
5, default to transparency. Plans, progress. Risks visible by default.
Openness.
6, autonomy with alignment. Teams own the how, leadership sets the why and the guardrails.
Clear roles.
And 7, decisions are reversible by default. bias towards action, only escalate the really hard to undo stuff.
It's the powerful set, and you make them even sharper with if forced to choose statements.
Exactly. So for ship small, learn fast, it becomes if forced to choose, we prioritize learning speed over solution completeness.
Ah, okay. That immediately tells a team, release the thin slice at the sprint. Don't wait for perfection.
Right. It's a practical decision tool, and it links principles directly to practices, avoiding that cargo cult trap.
How so?
You map each principle to specific practices and metrics. Ship small, learn fast maps to, say, thin vertical slices, feature flags, trunk-based development.
Okay.
And you track metrics like lead time, deploys per day. This makes sure your practices are serving the principle, driving intentional work, not just adopting tools because they're trendy.
So, zooming out, what does this mean for the whole organization? The sources are pretty blunt. Agile is really a leadership transformation hiding in delivery clothes.
Couldn't agree more. It absolutely starts at the top, like the admin running the OS.
So what do leaders need to do differently?
A few key things. Tell mission stories constantly. Real examples of customer outcomes improved by small releases. Protect the values when things get tough, like don't skip the definition of done for a deadline.
Hold the line.
Model using the principles. Ask which principle helps us decide here in reviews. And their job is to remove system constraints, fix those cross-team dependencies. Don't just point fingers at teams.
System plumbers.
Kinda. And align incentives. Reward learning, reward value creation, not just heroics or speed.
And decision rights need to be super clear, right? Who decides what?
Crucial. The research lays it out. Leadership owns mission, values, guardrails, funding model.
Okay, the strategic frame.
Teams own how to achieve objectives. The sequence of work. Local architecture within their area.
The tactical execution.
And then there are shared things like standards for APIs, security, data things needed for different parts to work together smoothly.
Right. And the org structure itself, the funding, that has to change too.
It must reflect these beliefs. Stop funding temporary projects. Fund stable, product-aligned teams focused on outcomes.
Long-lived teams.
Use things like team topology, streamlined, platform, enabling teams to manage complexity. Incentivize team outcomes, not just individual output. And change governance. Inspect outcomes and learning, not just dates and scope checklists.
Makes sense. And measurement is the way to keep it all honest.
Absolutely critical, but you can't just measure one thing, like velocity. That leads to optimizing the wrong stuff.
So what should we track?
3 tiers together. First, outcome metrics, mission-critical stuff. Customer activation, retention, NPS, CPAs, or cost to serve, revenue per segment, risk reduction, the impact.
Okay, the why.
Second, flow metrics, how work moves. Lead time, throughput, WIP, flow efficiency, how old work is getting, change failure rate, mean time to recovery, MTTR. The how.
The efficient.
And third, culture metrics. Are the values alive? Psychological safety scores, ENPS, code review health, maybe even an integrity index like, did we really stick to our DoD under pressure?
Wow.
And your dashboards need to show all 3 tiers together. That gives you the holistic view of how your operating system is really performing.
Okay, this is a lot, but it feels really integrated. It sounds great, but how do people actually start doing this? Is there like a quick start guide?
Well, the sources offer a pretty pragmatic 90-day playbook. Think of it like setting up your new OS.
Okay, 90 days. Let's hear it.
It breaks down into phases. Day 0-15, diagnose and decide. Get that mission clear, maybe a workshop with customer data. Map values to actual we-don't behaviors. Draft maybe 6 to 8 principles with those if forced to choose statements. And baseline your metrics outcomes, flow, culture. Got to know your starting point.
Right, measure first.
Then, day 16-45. Make it real at team level. Create team charters, purpose, boundaries, metrics. Align the definition of done with your values. Enforce backlog, hygiene, testable hypothesis. Mission to fit on everything. Redesign flow WIP limits, visualize things, and reset governance-focused reviews on outcomes. Learning. Stop the status theater.
Get practical at the team level.
Exactly. Finally, days 46-90, scale and lock in. Shift funding to persistent outcome-based teams. Bake principles into performance reviews, promotions. Set up cross-team ways of working APIs, communities of practice. Implement leadership cadences, mission story showcases, principal health checks, fixing systemic problems.
So by day 90, you have tangible stuff.
Yeah, refined mission, defined values, clear principles, team charters, that 3-tier dashboard up and running, concrete progress.
Okay, that sounds achievable. But
Yeah.
even with a plan, there are always pitfalls, right? Like bugs in the OS release.
Always. The sources highlight a few common ones. First, the cargo culting practices. Perfect stand-ups, terrible outcomes.
Seen it. Fix.
Tie every ceremony back to a principle and an outcome. If a ritual isn't paying rent, seriously consider dropping it.
Makes sense. Why?
Values on posters, not in paychecks.
Yeah.
Speed gets praised, but quality gets punished when push comes to shove.
Yeah. The fix?
Change the performance criteria, honor the DoD even if it makes you late by old standards. Align the incentives.
Critical. Another one.
Over-indexing on delivery speed. Lots of releases, but customer impact stays flat.
Faster hamster wheel.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The fix is outcome-based planning, hypothesis-driven work, and actually allocating time for continuous discovery for learning what users need.
Okay, 2 more.
Yep. Centralized control pretending to be alignment. Teams have to escalate every little decision.
Automac.
Big time. Fix. Define clear guardrails and decision rights. Coach leaders to ask, what did you learn? Not, did you get my permission?
Empowering teams.
And finally, principal debt. Exceptions just keep piling up, eroding the whole system.
Like technical debt, but for decisions.
Exactly. Fix. Keep a visible log of principal exceptions. Make paying it down, getting back to the principle, a priority in retros.
Wow, okay. That was a seriously deep dive into building an Agile OS that actually sticks. Let's recap the big takeaways for everyone listening.
Good idea.
First, that mission. It stops Agile being just about speed. It ties everything back to customer value, your North Star. Second, values are the guardrails, but they have to be wired into incentives, into daily rituals, otherwise they're just nice words.
Absolutely.
Third, principles are your day-to-day operating system. Short, ranked, used for making trade-offs quickly, your decision algorithm.
Right.
Fourth, practices serve principles. Choose tools because they help you live the principles, not just because they're popular. Avoid the cargo cult.
Crucial.
Fifth, leadership has to change first. Protect values, fund outcomes, remove those system blockers.
It starts there.
And finally, measure all 3 tiers together, outcomes, flow, and culture, to keep the whole transformation honest and effective.
Couldn't summarize it better.
So what's the final thought for our listeners to chew on?
Well, here's maybe a provocative one for you. If agility is truly about adapting to change, then your entire operating system, your mission, values, principles, it can't be static either. It has to be adaptable too. Continuously refined, continuously improved, truly lived, not just installed once. That's how you thrive in a world that just keeps changing.
That's a great point to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope this helps you build an agile transformation that genuinely lasts and delivers outcomes that matter.
That's it for today's Leading from Stream to Team Deep Dive. We've explored how agile transformation is more than ceremonies or speed. It's about building an operating system rooted in mission, values, and principles. Your mission defines the why, your values shape the behaviors you protect, and your principles guide decisions when the path isn't clear. Together, they create alignment, resilience, and impact. Remember, practices like Scrum or Kanban don't drive transformation on their own. They only work when they serve your mission, reflect your values, and are grounded in principles your teams actually use. If you found today's conversation useful, share it with a colleague who's navigating transformation, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep turning words into work and transformation into lasting outcomes.